Well, hi everyone. I hope you're having a terrific day. I want to wrap up with part 4 of a 4-part series that I've been doing on infrared. And if you're just new to this, we went over in part 1 how to take an existing color picture and turn it into a pseudo-looking infrared. And when I'm talking about infrared in this, we've been talking about 720 nanometer infrared, kind of a nice black and white, kind of seems to be the standard of what most people who are doing this are doing. In part 2, we took a look how to, using a filter, convert your smartphone into an infrared device. And I have a lot of fun with that all the time. So click on that link there. And then this past week, which has been current on my site, we went in, and once you're really addicted to this stuff, you're going to want to take an older mirrorless camera and convert that into a infrared camera. And I've been getting a lot of questions and emails from all of you who are new to this saying, oh man, Don, I take the pictures, but I must be doing something wrong because they come back looking red. No, that's exactly how they're going to look. But in this video, I'm going to tell you how to reduce that. All the steps I go through to profile the camera. It's going to be, you really need a profile for your camera if you're going to do this correctly. And then number 2, you need to understand how to set up that profile, how to adapt it to your pictures on import, and how to process your images to get that final dramatic infrared looking look, for a lack of a better term. So instead of rewriting the book, back during COVID, when we were all shut down, my wife Beri and I went out. She was my videographer, and we take you on a trip where we go out in the southern Santa Clara Valley out here in California to a very interesting tree that I love. It's bent over. It's what they call a live oak. You're going to see it in the video at 90 degrees. And we had a dramatic sky, just perfect. This was shot, I think, at 2 in the afternoon. So without further ado, let's cut to that video. You won't see me coming back at the end, but please, in the comment sections below, leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'm really good at getting back to you. And also, could you please hit that subscribe button so I can keep making more content like this? I would really, really appreciate it. So let's get off to the video. So we're on our way out to find a special oak tree that I've photographed quite a few times. It's a really cool, I think it's a live oak. I'm not sure because there's different types of oaks that grow out here. There's valley oaks, blue oaks, but the live oaks tend to be the ones that are twisty and gnarly, and this one's pretty twisty and gnarly, as you're going to see when we get out here. And I've shot this oak tree under different conditions, different light, tried processing it in a different way. But today's going to be the first day I've ever come out with the idea of photographing it with infrared. And I'm bringing my Sony a6000 converted infrared camera. This is all private property out in this area that we're driving, so I'm just going to be able to shoot it from alongside the road. And we'll see what we get. But you can see we've got kind of a beautiful cloudy sky, and this should work really well for infrared. And this is the cool thing about infrared. Most of my landscape shooting is done on the edges of the day when the light is colorful and kind of magical. We're in the middle of the day. It's a little bit after 2 p.m. here in the middle of May. So kind of, you know, harsh light day, a little softer with these clouds, but kind of a perfect setup. You could do this also with blank blue skies. That's the cool thing, because in infrared you can get those skies to go really dark and black. But I wanted to kind of get this mix of clouds in, and all of this is supposed to clear out of here tomorrow, so that's why I'm going out today. So we'll be back to you when we get up to the tree. All right, so I wanted to show you guys the camera setup before we get outside with our tree here, because we're just filming this on an iPhone today. I left all my professional microphones back at home, and it's actually kind of windy outside. So instead of having a lot of wind noise to deal with, I wanted to go over the settings on the camera. This is the Sony a6000. It's got a 1.5 crop. I've got the Sony 24-105 on there, which I know it's a 1.5, but it's going to be good for this scene because I've shot with this before out here and I know this scene pretty well. I'm going to be in aperture priority, 100 ISO. I've taken the polarizer off. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot for me trying to polarize with infrared. Maybe in certain situations it works. I don't know. It doesn't seem to want to be working out for here. So I've taken it off to gain back a stop to a stop and a third of light. So about f8 is what I'm going to go with. That'll hold that tree well with the nice clouds outside. And we'll just let the camera pick the shutter speed, 100 ISO. Oh, the other thing I do is I go into exposure compensation, and I overexpose by a stop and a third. That seems to work about right for infrared. Again, I'm not so sure why that is. I know if I stick right to the camera meter, it tends to look a little more muddy, and I just get better results if I bump it up. So I think anywhere +1 to 1 2/3. So I just split the difference, say 1 1/3. That's what I lock in, and that's what we would do. So I'm going to get outside, and let's hope the wind, I'll have Beri record me my ideas on the composition, and then she'll kind of get wider and I won't talk and you'll probably hear the wind blowing. Okay, we're going to film this from the car because we've tried going outside, but unfortunately it's windy, and with just filming it on a iPhone, it's the wind baffle. It's just, we don't have one, so the wind is just too annoying. If you can see the tree out here, Beri, they can see that okay. A couple of things on composition before I actually get out to shoot it. The visual motion of the tree is moving left to right. So that tells me where I want to put that tree is probably going to be in the left side of the frame. We've got some beautiful light out there on the hills, and then the beautiful sky above it. And I think that's going to be the composition I'm looking for. I could try a couple with that tree in the middle, but I just, I really pay attention to my subject and where the motion of the subject is going. So in this case, the motion is going left to right. Thus, I want to put it to the left side of the frame and not the right. If I was to put it over on the right side, it would probably just lead the viewer's eye out of the shot, which is not what I'm looking for. I want to hold the viewer's eye, start on that beautiful tree, get it up onto the sunlit mountains, and we're hoping this will fall into cloud again. Sun's been darting in and out, and then just, complete it with that cool looking sky and see what the infrared effect does to it. So let's hop on out and we'll give it a try. Okay, so we're back at my office, and before I input my images into Lightroom, I want to show you guys something that I forgot to mention that's very important when we're setting up our camera. And that is that when we shoot infrared, we want to shoot in RAW mode. And we also, and this is super important, we want to do a custom white balance. Okay, so I had Live Pixels convert my camera, and I did right here this super color IR filter conversion. You can see there's all different types of conversions you can go with. I'm not going to tell you which one's better than the other. I chose super color IR filter, and my custom white balance should be set on green grass or foliage, which I did under the same shooting conditions in my backyard prior to me going out and shooting. And that was a big hunk of information I did not give to you, so that's why I'm giving it to you now. And it's really easy. If you don't know how to do a custom white balance, go to your camera manual, because it's a little different for every camera. I know for my Sony it's very easy. I go into white balance, scroll all the way to custom white, and then there's a little button that you push on the back of the camera, and I just pointed it at like my grass and some bushes in my backyard just before I went out, and so it's basically going to be under the same light, and it captures that, and then you set that as your white balance for all the images that you're going to shoot. So if you're traveling and you're on location, something like that, just remember to do the custom white balance prior to doing your shooting, and you're going to be okay. All right, so I'm back in Lightroom now. These are the images I captured, and I really think these last couple ones here where the sun started to hit that little mountain range over there are going to be the ones I'm going to want to do. So I'm in the import module. I'm going to put this onto a different hard drive, and I'm going to create a new folder in there, and today is 05/19/20, and we'll just say infrared San Benito County, which is where I live in California. This is really the southern edge of Santa Clara Valley, Silicon Valley. Let me get that out of there. I can't spell, can't type. It's terrible. So I'm going to create that folder, and you can see it highlights down here. And now, before I import, I want to direct your eyes up here to where it says apply during import and develop settings, and you're going to see Don's light. Well, let's see. I am going to go to user presets. Yeah, I want to do infrared import preset. Okay, and I'm going to show you as soon as I import these how I went about creating that import setting. If you have a camera that's converted to infrared, you only have to do this one time for that camera, and then it's always going to be right here for you guys when you go in. And now that I come down here and I click import, you can see that was actually the same tree shot in a different black and white. And now it's just going to bring these pictures in. You can see the first one was very overexposed, and now we're this is kind of the look of the infrared with the custom white balance that you guys want. And let's go from here, and I'm going to show you guys now how to create this profile and how to get it into Lightroom so you have access to it just like I did. All right, guys, so what I want to show you in this segment is what happens if you go out and shoot and you forget to do a custom white balance. You can see over here, if I was to click there's my custom white balance. And it's not bad. It looks pretty cool. This is about what we want. A little bit of blue in here and a little bit of warmer colors up in here. But if you just shoot auto white balance in either JPEG or RAW, you just can't dial out this red. It's just too much. If you're going to turn it into a black and white image, that's probably going to be okay for you. But let me go back here and reset this. But there's a way around it. So if you did your whole shoot, you came in and you went, oh darn, I forgot to shoot an auto white balance, or not an auto white, custom white balance. Here's how you're going to go about this. What I'm going to do is first come up here to File in Lightroom, and then I'm going to go to Export with Preset, and we're going to export this as a DNG, which I have, I think, already done. Yes, it is. It's right there. So I would just pick where I want to do it, which is on, or where I'd want to place it, which is on my desktop in this case. Click Open, and you will have the DNG. Now, let's get rid of Lightroom for a moment. The next thing you're going to have to do is go out to Adobe's page. Just Google Adobe DNG Profile Editor, and make sure you're downloading the right one for either the Mac or for your PC. I'm a Mac guy. I just went and checked, and the current version will tell you if I come up here about this Mac, I'm operating on system 1015. I think the current version they show on the Adobe page is 1010, but don't worry about it because I just tried to re-download this and it works. So go ahead and download it. Okay, so now that we have this little DNG profile editor on our desktop, and we have the photo over here on the desktop, I'm simply going to come up to File and open up my DNG image, which is now right there. And there's my image. And it looks a little different because I've been going through here and playing with things. So let's just reset this to show you what it's going to look like, that really over the top red. So this is what your image would look like when you first open it up. And the first tab, you're going to have 5 tabs here. You only have to worry about 2 tabs. You're going to come to color matrices, and you're going to take the blue slider and you're going to want to go way down, somewhere like about 80, negative 85, 90, somewhere in there. You're going to take the green tab, you're going to do the same. You're going to come way down with it. So right about in here. There's no right or wrong. We're just kind of guesstimating on this. But what it's going to do, you can see it's taking that red out of the shot that's over the top. Now, I want to preface, this isn't going to be something you really have to do if you're going to convert to black and white anyway. But this is something that's called color swapping in channels. And that's going to be a video for another day. I can teach you that, especially if you have your camera converted to a super color IR camera. So remember I said there was different ways you could convert to IR. So this is going to allow you, if you want to start playing with that, to do that. So we're just going to take that down, the blue temperature, to about, on this one I'm just going to go minus 93, the tint, I don't know, not so much. I still want it to be a little orangish up in there, but probably about in there. Okay, now I'm going to move over to the next tab, which is Options. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. I'm going to put Sony Test IR, and we'll just leave that as that. You could name your camera in there is what I would want you to do, but well, let's do that. I just don't want to get it confused with the profiles I already have in Lightroom. Okay, and then when you're done with that, you are going to File, and you are going to export this profile. And it will already come up where camera profiles, and you would just click save. I'm actually not going to click this. I already have a camera profile I created, so let me cancel out of that. But that's how it's done if you forget to set a custom white balance out in the field. Don't freak out, you can save it this way. Okay, well, let's jump into the final part of all this infrared shooting, and this is another really fun aspect of it, and that's the processing of it. You just never really know what the resulting look is going to be in infrared. That's the cool thing. And generally, when we shoot infrared, foliage will go white. But I was analyzing these photos and I realized that everything I shot, let's take a quick peek at this, is basically this was more in shade and the infrared was more back up in here. So I want to show you what I'm talking about. These are some images I did at Pinnacles National Park here in Central California. And you can see now there wasn't a cloud in the sky the day that I shot these, and you can see these oaks and gray pines just kind of took on a ghostly white appearance. And I didn't do much in here, even though you're seeing TIFFs come up. These were just pretty much processed the way I'm going to show you how to process this shot that I captured. And here's one I mentioned, color swapping. So if you are getting your camera converted, you might want to think about the super color IR conversion. I know LifePixel offers that. I can't really vouch for the other camera manufacturers that convert. I don't know what they're offering, but LifePixels certainly offers it. But this is an image here I really kind of liked, and I'm going to convert this into a black and white. We're not going to work with color swapping today because that's a whole nother topic to get into. And I could simply start out just taking the saturation right out of there. That would be a starting point for this. I just want to point out another way of doing it right up here next to the profile. If you scroll down, if you're on Creative Cloud, you do have a lot of different black and white presets in here. If this was the only way you had a plane with black and white, I'll just click that one. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see they give you quite a few in here. Okay, so let's open this up. And in Photoshop, when I process my any type of black and white shot, I do it in Silver Efex Pro, and I could have done this right out of Lightroom, but I happen to like being in Photoshop to do this. And I'm just going to come down to Nik Silver Efex Pro. I started with Nik as one of their pro photographers. This had to be 15 years ago or more. They were based out of San Diego, and I can remember going down for training with them, and it was right after Viveza came out. They were just doing some wild stuff with this masking, you know, the U-place masking, or U-control, I think they called it. And anyway, I won't go into all of that, but it was a wild time back in the software days there. It's still kind of wild today, but it's tamed down some. This is when we were just seeing stuff that was just blowing us away. I was going to say blow our minds, and I'm really dating ourselves, but okay, it blew our minds. It just, what these guys were coming up to, your jaw just dropped, and you just went, wow, how'd you do that, you know? All right, so I'm in Silver Efex Pro. I just clicked on the preset library all over here, and you can see, you can scroll down. There's just some really cool different looks. That one looks pretty cool. There's another one in here. Usually these push processes I like. That made the clouds a little too hot. That could work pretty cool. This one I think works best for this image, and this is the one I want to go with. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole ins and outs of Silver Efex Pro. That's, again, another video for another day, or you can hop over on Nik's website or on DxO's website that now owns Nik and check that out. But you can certainly modify this look quite a bit. I might pull down the highlights a little bit, bring down the midtones just a smidgen, and maybe just open up those shadows a little bit more. Now that's getting that foliage to pop a little bit. You can see you have structure you can play around with, some color filters, different film types even. I didn't even go in there. And then you can come along and play with different color channels in here and see if they do anything for you. I just want to open this up. Yeah, see, if you hover over these, you just have infinite options to go with. Let's just leave it at that. I'm going to come back up and just reset this to neutral. And let's click OK, because there's one other thing I want to talk to you guys before we wrap this up that I like doing, not all the time, but some of the time with my infrared pictures, and that's adding a glow effect to it. Now, any third-party company nowadays has some form of a glow filter, and I'm just going to stick with Nik because there's one, and this one again goes all the way back some 15 years ago, Color Efex Pro, whenever that first came out. Now I know some of you are going to look that up and tell me, no, it wasn't 15 years ago, it was this many years ago, whatever. I'm guesstimating, guys. I just like adding a glow to the picture. And this one is over here in Glamour Glow. And I'm just going to click open their presets. There's a subtle glow. That's not doing much. That one's kind of cool. That's stronger glow. And then we get into the really strong glow. You can modify it over here. You can back this down a little bit. You can even use a mask when you output this if you wanted to. I'm going to leave this dialed up actually quite a bit. Let's just go ahead and put that out. I'm going to show you, we'll give you a little bit more of a bonus here. I'm going to let this render, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about with adding a mask, and I can paint out the effect of the glow, let's say on the tree. So there's my glamour glow. Let's just come here and add a mask to it. Make sure we're black. Tap B for brush. And I don't want to wipe out 100%. So up here, I'm just going to put it maybe at 50%, and we'll just kind of paint in. And I'm going to do this real quick just to give you the idea. And certainly in different parts of the tree, you could add or subtract more. You can see as I start to paint that glow effect out, the tree starts to come back to more of a brighter look. And at least this is giving you an idea of what it can do. And then lastly, over here on any layer, you have your opacity slider, where you can take the effect off or bump it back in, or figure out somewhere in the middle, add masks. So that's, like I'm saying, it's endless really what you can play with here. I want to just show you, before we wrap this up, I want to show you back here in Lightroom. On the way in on the drive, Beri and I passed this cut field of hay. Where I shot the previous picture was back up in these mountains somewhere. It's kind of, I don't know, somewhere over in there. But there was my infrared shot. And here was just coming in the Silver Efex Pro. And I think I did the push process +1 on this one. That's what I'm saying. Every different light, every different look is going to give you kind of a different look and feel. And that's sort of the beauty of infrared. So there you have it, short of doing channel mixing, and you can go out on the web. There's a lot of videos. Go to LifePixel's site. They'll show you. But I hope I kind of whetted your appetite here for infrared. I know a lot of you already have converted cameras. Mine went on the shelf for about 3 years, I got to admit. I got really into it at the start and then kind of backed off. And now that we're getting into, at least out here in California, those blank blue sky days, it's kind of fun to pull it back out and just go out and try something different and have some fun and stay creative, gang. I think that's what it's all about. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you staying with me. I hope you learned something. And until next week, this is Don Smith. All of you, please take care. Stay safe out there. We're getting through this virus. And one of these days, we're going to be able to start traveling and living our lives as normal again. In the meantime, stay creative. We'll talk to you next week.